Hi, I'm Dovin from the paint department here at HomCo Lumber and Hardware. Today I'm going to be going over a few of the items that we carry, as well as giving you guys some pointers for your next upcoming springtime project. If you're picking up a project this winter or spring, here's going to be a few of the items you're going to need. First, you're going to need a brush or a roller. Rollers typically will cover larger spaces. They come in a few different parts. You have the roller themselves, and then you have the applicator. These applicators are called naps. There are a few different things that go on with the naps. There's different materials as well as different lengths. Short nap rollers, they're going to be about 1/4 inch. They are for smooth textured walls, or like just smooth walls in general, doors and windowsills. Then you have medium length rollers. They're going to be 3/8 to 1/2 inch in length. The slightly longer fibers help get the paint into the different crevices in your texture. They can texture stuff like drywall and ceilings. Then you have long nap rollers. They're going to be 3/4 inch to 1.5 inches. Just because they're longer fibers, they can dig into heavily textured surfaces a little bit better. For latex-based paints, you're going to want to use a synthetic nap, something like a nylon or a polyester. For oil-based, you're going to want to use a nap that's going to be natural, something like a mohair or a lambskin. And then there's something called a blended nap, and it can be used for both use cases. Now, if you're getting a paint roller, the next thing you'll need is going to be a paint tray. Something like this plastic one or a heavier duty one will suffice. The reason you use a paint tray is because it allows you to get a proper and more even coating on your nap, and it'll minimize the amount of paint you need to use to cover more space on your wall. Brushes, on the other hand, while they can still be used for covering large space, they're mostly going to be used for slightly smaller projects. There are two different types. There's beaver tail, there's sash. Beaver tail is going to be your go-to choice if you do need to cover more space. Their flatter and shorter handle is more ergonomic for fitting into the palm of your hand, so you can make broader brush strokes and cover more space with them. Sash is going to be also known as a cutting brush. It's cut at an angle so that it provides more clean lines, more delicate and fine detail work, and allow you to have more control. They're typically going to be used for more narrow trim or small surfaces. With any paint project that you might be doing, you're going to want to pick up some kind of painter's tape. What painter's tape is used for is to cover edges of baseboards, outlets, ceilings, other adjacent walls. It's going to use it to protect the walls from any new paint you're putting on. At the same time, while you are protecting your walls, you're also going to want to make sure you protect your floors. I recommend using something like a drop cloth. Like this, it's more of a canvas. It'll be also reusable. However, a few other options you can use is using papers and plastics. They're just the same, they're just not reusable. You just throw them away when you're done. The last tip for anyone looking to paint this winter or spring is make sure your temperature of where you're painting is the right temperature, which is going to be 50 degrees Fahrenheit to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. The most optimal temperature for most of our products is going to be 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Another project you might be picking up this springtime is going to be refurbishing or building a new piece of wooden furniture. In the instance of refurbishing a piece of furniture with maybe old paint on it, what you're going to first want to do is make sure you clean the surface, and then you're going to want to go in with some kind of paint thinning chemical. I'll be recommending this 2-minute remover. It's a little less harsh than other chemicals. However, you do have chemicals like acetone, which is a stronger paint thinner. Only use this if you really think your project needs it, because otherwise just a little less harsh of a paint thinner is going to be better. Make sure with any chemicals that you're working with that you're going to want to use either latex or nitrile gloves, as well as proper eye protection. Lather your chemical of choice onto the painted surfaces and let it soak into the wood. After the chemical has done its job, you're going to want to go in with a plastic scraper, scrape off any of the paint, and then you're going to want to go in and clean it again. This time, you're going to use something like a low odor mineral spirits with a rag just to clean up and get off any excess kind of chemicals on there. Across the board, for any refurbished products or new wood products, you're going to want to make sure your next step is sanding. This will prepare the surface for any stain or paint you use in the future and give it a nice finish at the end. For any sanding project, you're going to want to make sure you progress through different grits of sandpaper. The sandpaper is denoted by the number on the packaging. For example, this is 60 grit sandpaper. It'll be on the front of the packaging as well as on the back of your sandpaper. The lower the number is, the coarser the sandpaper is, and the higher the number is, the finer the sandpaper is. Now, your grit progression is going to be different for each kind of wood that you're using. For example, softwood is going to be wood like pine, spruce, cedar, Doug fir. These woods, you're going to use a progression of 80, 120, 180, and then 220. For hardwoods like cherry, maple, mahogany, and walnut, you're going to use a grit progression more like 40, 60, 100, and then 120. No matter what you end up doing, you want to make sure you sand your surfaces really evenly. The way you can do this is you can take a pencil and you can lightly draw and mark across the top of your surface, and then you're just going to sand until you don't see any of those marks left, and you're going to repeat this process for any grit progression you end up choosing. For anything that has been previously stained, you're going to want to go in with 60 grit to remove the stain while not removing too much of the wood. And then you'll continue from a grit progression from there. After the sanding, most projects will require you to paint, stain, or oil your surface. In the case of painting, you have a few options and the choice is really up to you. We offer Rust-Oleum paints. They're a paint that you can use and just put on your surface. We also have our own HomCo label of paint made by California Paints. However, if you want to maintain the natural look of your wood, oil and stains are going to be the way to go. In the case of oils, you just rub them on and they're good to go from there. In the case of stains, we have a few different choices. We have Minwax, General Finishes, and Czar. Each of them are a little different. We have gel-based stains, oil-based stains, and water-based stains. The difference between oil-based stains and water-based stains is not a whole lot. Oil will give off a lot more fumes, as well as oil is just a little bit more protective. It can be a little bit more UV resistant, a little bit more weather resistant, as well as just more durable because of how much better it soaks into the wood. Gel stains are also going to be an oil-based stain. They're a little bit more expensive, but they are going to be a little bit more premium. They offer a little bit more saturated of a color, and they look really nice. With any staining project, the process will be similar. You'll take one of your brushes, probably you're going to be using a beaver tail brush. You're going to want to make sure you go with the grain, not against it. This will apply a more even coating as well. The end product will look better. With most of our products here, only 1 or 2 coats is going to be necessary to get the desired look. For most projects, once you finish staining and it dries, it'll be good. However, depending on your circumstances, you may want more protection. To do this, all you have to do is apply some kind of top coat. We have polyacrylic, we have lacquer, we also have spar urethane as well as polyurethane. Now, for outdoor use, I recommend something like a spar urethane, like this Helmsman here. It's going to have enhanced durability as well as it's going to be UV resistant as well as weather and moisture resistant. For indoor uses, I'm going to recommend something like this Varathane. I have a bunch of experience with it myself. They're going to be inside use only. However, they give you a really nice top coat. They all come in a clear satin, a clear gloss, and a clear semi-gloss, so you can determine what level of shininess you want on your surface while protecting it. Another option in the top coats is we have these spray can versions. They're a little bit easier to use. However, it should be noted that they don't provide as thick of a coat, so you're going to have to use a lot more coats of the spray can version than you would of a regular brush-on version just to achieve the same kind of results. The last step of any painting or staining project is going to be the cleanup. If you've spilled any paint anywhere, you can pick up something like these paint gator wipes. They're great. We use them all the time behind the paint counter at HomCo. And if you have brushes with paint or stain on them, the simplest thing to do is pick up a tiny little cup of some kind and put low odor mineral oil spirits in there. It'll help dissolve the paint off of it. Just go back and forth from dipping your paintbrushes into mineral spirits as well as running them under water. Typically hot water is better. And then if your mineral oil spirits gets really cloudy, dumping them out, putting new mineral spirits in, and just keep cycling it. Thanks for joining the video. Remember, paint projects are all about having fun, being creative. So if you guys need any more advice or you need supplies, just swing on by. Any of our helpful HomCo associates will be ready to point you in the right direction.
Thank you for watching. Please keep an eye out for next month's project.